So this is the first time we're covering ayahuasca on the channel. I think a lot of psychonauts will be familiar with this. It's a healing medicine that's famously taken in the Amazon rainforest amongst shamans in a ritualistic setting. And what's interesting about this trip report is that it was actually penned by a female called Samra. I think it's really interesting to hear a female's perspective when it comes to tripping. There's a serious abundance of trip reports as written by males out there on the internet, so it's always refreshing to hear a trip report coming from a female. For the most part, women are more in tune with their emotions and seem to have a greater connection with nature, so this gives the trip report an extra bit of flavour that usually you don't see. I am currently living in the UK, and I had my first ayahuasca experience here in Europe. For the sake of privacy and safety of the people involved, I will not share too much information. All I'm going to say is that it was not hard to find a super reliable source in Europe. The lady who set the ceremony, as well as the shaman and his team, were incredible. By the end of 3 days retreat, I was in love with everybody involved. The shaman and his team had studied in Peru under Peruvian shamans 14 years ago, and he constantly travels back between Europe and Peru. The medicine herself was great as well. There are a couple of things I'm going to warn you about ayahuasca if you are thinking about doing it. Number 1. Do not do it without a master shaman. This medicine is super strong. You need someone to guide you through it. It bends space and time, and it literally takes your spirit out of your body. At least that's how I felt and saw. It is a very intense experience. Never do it with amateurs or at home. And do not take this point lightly. There are many cheap places in Europe who just provide the medicine for cheap, and an amateur person to do it for you. Do not do it. Don't be cheap. Don't be cheap. Find a reliable source and a proper master shaman. This is very important. Number 2. You do not need prior experience with other psychedelics. I did not have any. However, you need to be super open-minded. Don't go just cause. Only go when you have the calling. You know it when you do. Number 3. 1 or 2 sessions will not change you, for better or for worse, so don't fear it. Also, don't get disappointed if it's not a miracle cure. Number 4. Never push anyone to do it with you. You must have a calling. I had a calling and I needed to go, but my partner and friends were not ready at that time, so I went by myself. In fact, I recommend doing it alone, especially without a partner. I think that is the best and least distracting way. Number 5. Ayahuasca is not a psychedelic trip. It might happen, but that's not what you are there for. You may not have any visions. It is a healing medicine. It is a teacher. It may not be a fun experience. In fact, it is quite a difficult inner journey. Simply because it shows you your most inner secrets and lies you believe that you do not want to face. But is it worth it? Absolutely. Some of the most brilliant and significant teachings I ever had. Number 6. You need to let go. I could not let go all the way. I could not face my demon in its totality, so my experience was not full. But now I know what I need to do for my next healing session. I know what to meditate for. So maybe don't go to Peru for your first time. Try somewhere more local. Once you become more familiar and the master of your fears, then go for Peru. That is my plan at least. Practice makes perfect. And finally, number 7. Follow the necessary diet for at least 3 days before the ceremony. Anyways, there is so much more I can say about the experience itself, but I want you to see it for yourself. Do your research, but don't listen to other people's experiences too much. I did not. I just went for it, so I had no particular expectations. Ayahuasca Trip Report, June 2018. I arrived in Lisbon, Portugal on a Wednesday and met up with a friend who has flown from Canada. We had lots of fun exploring the beautiful city of Lisbon and catching up. Next day, we rented a car and drove 3 hours to our retreat. We met with all the other super interesting people who were there for the ceremony. There was a total of 12 of us. I had an interview with one of our shamans. She asked about myself and my intentions, as well as any previous experiences with any drugs or psychedelics and all the other important details. Around 9 PM, we all gathered around in a beautiful glass room called Spaceship for obvious reasons. We had our purge ceremony. Basically, you drink a horrible tobacco medicine, and after some time, you drink gallons of water until you throw up. It is not pleasant, but after you are super clear and you have this amazing sensation. A bunch of us gathered in the backyard and talked about ourselves and intentions and experiences. I made a couple of lovely connections which I will never forget. Next day, we had a very healthy breakfast. No salt, no sugar. We had an even simpler lunch at 1 PM. Around 3 PM, me, my friend and a bunch of other people went to a beautiful beach nearby, high above the cliffs. The beauty was mesmerising. I sat on top of the cliffs and meditated and contemplated for a while. Once we got back to the retreat, I found another glass meditation room and just stayed there by myself, trying not to get tangled up with conversations with other people. Most people were doing the same thing. We were all preparing for our journey. Around 9 PM, everyone gathered in the spaceship. The shamans told us where to sit. They had paired people up based on some sort of logic. The shamans, who were a couple, had a very interesting way of singing their Icarus songs. They each sing a different song with a different beat. At first it was very confusing, but soon it made my brain do a funny thing. It would split my consciousness and brain activity in two. I got to love it by the end. After an hour of taking the medicine, I still couldn't really feel anything. People were already throwing up, so I thought something must be wrong with me. I was getting frustrated and thought maybe I am not worthy. It was then when the shamans called for anyone who wants a second cup. Almost everyone got up. I managed to go as well. This was quite surprising to me, since I had a very hard time last year. It seemed that my body and mind had become much more tolerant and stronger. Within minutes of having the second cup, the plant started talking to me. I started shaking and feeling pain all over my body. I felt an alien going through my veins. It was a horrible pain. I realised this must be how a heroin addict must feel like, and I learned compassion. The plant told me if I can't take it, I am allowed to throw up. I told he or she that I am ready, so bring it on. Right away, a light burst out of my chest, and I saw a portal opening, and the alien entered my being. It took control. I started seeing a lot of visuals: beauty, destruction, death, life, horror, pain, fear, love. Everything was visual and sensual. I was in bliss and pain at the same time. I asked her what is my purpose in life. He or she said, "Why don't you just become a shaman?" And I said, "No way, I'm not strong enough." And she said, "Fine, then I'll give you an easier purpose. Just draw me, just paint me, show people my beauty, and that will alone bring light." And he or she showed me all her incredible beauty, which I'm already starting to forget. She also told me that she is not only light, but the opposite as well. And all this dark force appeared, so powerful and masculine. I was terrified, but she said accept, so I did. There is beauty in horror. He or she has no preference, and so I should learn to not have a preference either. And then I hear the shaman calling my name. I walked in front of him, and my friend was called by the female shaman. Then, they sang a song specific to each of us at the same time. I was blown away. Sharing this experience with my friend is priceless. After the shamans sang our songs, I went back to my mattress. I could feel vibrations and the effects of the songs within me. They were working their magic. I started seeing and becoming one with the plant. The plant showed me that my mother is not a human. No one's mother is a human. There is no human. And everything started going back in time, and everything became one simple plant. He or she said, "I am your mother. You are me." Then everything started to go even further into nothingness, and all sensory systems disappeared. I started seeing the original fabric of existence. It was made of two linear lines, floating and dancing, changing colours, playing with each other. Sometime after that, the ceremony ended. I threw up right before the last song at the request of the alien within, and it made me feel better. As I walked out of the spaceship, I was blown away by the stars in the night sky. For the first time in my life, I could see the Milky Way. My friend joined me soon after. We picked up a bunch of blankets and went on the big porch balcony in pitch black and slept under the stars for some time. Day 2. In the morning we all gathered in the same room, cleaning up after our own mess and cleaning our buckets. We all shared details of our journey to each other and to the shamans. To my surprise, most people didn't have any visuals. Most people had physical and emotional insights. Some just had a hard night, throwing up violently. That somehow fed my ego. I was proud of myself for seeing so many beautiful things, whilst others didn't. I thought to myself, that's because I am an artist and I have a super creative mind. This ego backlash came to haunt me at night. On this day, I made a couple of mistakes in retrospect. I slept in the afternoon, from 1 PM to 5:30 PM. Although the shamans suggested that, it made me super drowsy. Also, I think I ate more than I needed, so by 9 PM I was still not hungry. I started running around the retreat, trying to burn some energy and feel more alive. Nothing really worked. I went in the ceremony not in a great mood. Like the first night, the ceremony started and everybody had a cup of the medicine. I soon started to feel the effect. However, no visuals. I wanted to see. I needed to see the visuals again, I thought to myself. My ego took over. I was in so much control. I was so frustrated at myself. After some time, the shamans offered a second drink. No one went for it. So even though I wasn't really feeling high, I didn't go either. An hour later, 2 guys went for a second cup. It was then that the plant, or the ego, asked me for the second cup. I was in doubt, but I heard the voices in me. I thought you were ready for this. I thought you wanted an ego death. I thought you wanted to know me. Why are you being a pussy now? So I went in front of the shaman for the second cup. The shaman looked at me with doubt, but he offered me a little bit. I literally had a sip, half the amount the shaman offered me. As soon as I got back to my seat, I started seeing visuals again. Now we're talking, I thought to myself. But the visuals were impure. They were forced. They were mine, not a gift from the plant. I accepted that and enjoyed my trip anyways. Sometime after that, the ceremony ended, and my trip didn't. I tried throwing up. Nothing came out. I was so dizzy. Everybody left the room. I went to my room with my friend. She had an amazing night. She had cried and felt so much love, and she'd seen so many beautiful visuals. I hadn't experienced any of that. Jealousy took over. We went to bed and my real trip started. I had heard about bad trips before, but I've never really experienced it. I now know what hell is like. I was in so much agony, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I could see darkness taking over me. My breath became toxic. My blood pressure dropped. I was dying, but not in a nice way. I was fading away and joining the dark forces. Light was gone, and that's when I started getting a lot of insights. I told myself, you have brought this on yourself by being a control freak. You accept the responsibility. Face it all. Face this moment. And I faced all the sadness, hate, suffering. I faced my ugliest form. I am impure. I am weak. I am alone. My parents are dying. War is coming. No one likes me. I have no friends. I have no talent. I am such a mediocre artist. I am a failure. I don't deserve love. I don't know love. I don't deserve a good life. This is all fake. I'm so fake. I am such a pity. Nothing matters. No one will save me. I faced all of myself. I was dying. From inside myself I called up thousands of Roman soldiers to come to my protection. All these gladiators surrendered me, but a powerful female entity appeared and melted all the soldiers away. She said there is no escaping this. Face it. So I faced it all. It never got easier. This went on for an eternity. I thought I am lost in this madness forever. To be honest, even now, I'm still not sure if I totally got out. Some time passed. I was able to get out of bed. I needed to get the alien out of my body. My friend woke up as well. We went to the kitchen and I had gallons of water. Finally something came out. Still feeling dizzy and weak, we went to our room. My friend came to my rescue. She is so full of love, laid there beside me, gently caressing my hair, telling me it will be alright. I let her go to sleep, and I went back to my own darkness. Around 8 AM, I fell asleep. I think I slept for an hour total that night. Around 9 I woke up, feeling dizzy and weak, but I was reborn. I survived the night of the dark soul. I congratulated myself and went out of the room. At 10, we had breakfast and shared our night experience. Most people had a fantastic night. So many insights, so much love, so many beautiful visuals. My night stood out like a sore thumb. I cried and was shaking the whole time describing my experience. Both of the shamans looked at me with their wise eyes and smiled. I was so humbled. I am just an old child. Thank you.